I'm going to make sure everyone can hear me before I talk for too much longer. But I figured we'll start a little bit early. It's not quite the top of the hour. I know there's a little delay too for chat. So hopefully everyone can hear me, because I don't have a plan if you can't. All right, good. Thank you. Or at least I think that's what you're saying, Jill. Okay. Thank you, Al. So big hello to everyone, Victoria, Jennifer, to Paul, bonjour, Fred, Emma, Colette, hello, Ruthless Crab, hello, it's great to see you, Cashew as well, and Hat Creek Dog Training, it's been a while. Yeah, so again, we're early, so in a second here I'll do like another rolling start, but I'm filling in for Jeff. He's in transit right now, heading either to or from Costa Rica. To be honest, I don't really know because I've been traveling myself. So yeah, that's why I'm filling in. Everything is okay in the world of the Warren family. So just to make sure, get that off the top. And then happy Strange Brew today. Strange Brew Day today. It is 2/4. And hello to Brooke. A big thank you for those who may or may not know. Brooke filled in, was one of the folks that filled in for me on Wednesdays while I was in Antarctica. So, yes, I am home safe. I no longer have a beard. So that was that was quite helpful for the summertime temperatures, and yeah, so I'm back from that. My partner and I have now been to all 7 continents, so check mark on that. We had a fantastic time. I'll sneak a little bit of that at the end, but I want to make sure to do my normal intro here for the Do Nothing Project. So if you're just tuning in, this is the Do Nothing Project. Not much of anything usually happens on the Do Nothing Project, and we like it that way. It's important to keep your expectations low. I, as you might have realized, am not Jeff Warren. I'm filling in, as I mentioned, for Jeff. My name is Andrew. I am a certified mindfulness meditation coach. And usually you find me over there in chat. So I'm usually one of the moderators over there. So, and thank you so much. It's so great to see all the names going by. As Jeff points out, when you're sitting in this chair, the names seem to go by a little faster. And so it's harder for me to be able to say hello to everybody. And then I'm also doing this on my iPad, which was sort of crushed in transit on the way home. So it's functioning, which is great. I like that. Hey, Deb, welcome. Yeah, and Fred, you do a great job greeting everyone. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. I think I'm doing double duty tonight, so I am sort of moderator. I am sitting in as moderator, and I am also your guide. So that's one of the things that I did not get set as far as a coordination piece at the beginning. And then I will be also posting a few things in chat at some point here to let you all know what's going on. Some of you will know from the last couple weeks that Jeff has recently launched Home Base with Jeff. You find that at homebasewithjeff.com, and that's a Substack, and that's one of the things that Jeff's experimenting with at the moment, and a cool opportunity. So there's a free part of it, and then there's also a way to offer support to Jeff and to the other things that Jeff is doing all the time, like the Do Nothing Project, and then also supporting the MindBod Adventure Pod, which is the new name for what you used to find at Explorers FM, which is the Consciousness Explorers podcast, which has its first episode out. So I will plug all of those things and more as we get closer to things at the end. But what to expect from our time together tonight. Well, you'll have a 25-minute guided meditation from me. I'll have minimal guidance around that. We'll ring the bell. We'll settle in. We'll have a little bit of an overall 20-minute sit, and then we'll cap off, or we'll finish with about 5 minutes of friendliness practice or loving kindness practice. And I'll see, there was a question there from Chris, hello Chris, about whether or not my theme will be, oh hello Gabrielle, and Suzanne, welcome. Whether or not my theme will be an Antarctic theme, I don't know yet. I hadn't planned on weaving it in. I thought I would throw in some things about the trip at the end. But part of the thing is I'm experiencing from this long trip what we often can experience when we come back from retreats, which is kind of this mix of sort of an aftershock and an afterglow, where you come back to the real world and the real world doesn't operate the way everything did on the ship that you were on for the last 21 days. And there's a bit of sort of an adjustment period or some variation of decompression. So yeah, Mitch, I kind of wish there is like an ode to the beard. I just did this today. So I'm already missing the beard to a sense. What I was going to play around with for a theme for our 25-minute sit was just the patience of practice. Or in other words, if we were to imbue practice as a friend and entity for us, the fact that the practice is always there or can always be there for us. And I mean that in this sort of notion of it can be available to us. From a standpoint of mental health and other things, practice may not always be available to us, but from the standpoint of practice being a friend or can be a friend to us, there's that notion of having, like practice always has time for us, I guess, is what I'm trying to get. So that was my theme I was going to play with. And I know we started a minute early, but I'm looking at my time, so I know that I've talked a little more than I had planned. But yeah, so it's great to be back. Thank you everyone for all the messages, and I will make sure to let you know all of the cool things that are going on with Jeff and everything else at the end. But yeah, and welcome Cindy. Hello, I hope all is well in Montana. But yeah, so I'll ring the bell and we'll begin. I missed everybody too, so this is a great way to come back. Feels like I've been gone a long time. All right. And really, as we start the sit, it's an opportunity to kind of arrive where we're at. So just being able to pause and settle in. And just kind of holding the body still a little bit and just allowing things to keep moving if that's how it is to be in a body at the moment. And so as we sit, we're starting with our posture. And so you could be standing or lying down or walking even. But I'll focus on the seated posture. And so that could be sitting in a chair or sitting on a cushion. Each of those are equally valid. So just looking to see if you can have a upright but not uptight posture. Allowing the back to not be rigid. And checking to see that the feet are arranged in a way that's comfortable. And if you're in a chair, maybe just checking to see the feet are flat on the floor. And a quick check-in to see if there's any tension in the body. And you'll know where you hold tension better than I will, but I always just check in around the shoulders, the neck, the jaw, around the eyes. And it's our first opportunity to bring a no big deal attitude. So if there's tension, just allowing it to be there. We're not trying to scare it off. And then finally, a few deliberate breaths. Cribbing from the Beastie Boys, slow and low is the tempo that we're going for. Breathing in through the nose allows us to breathe low, or allows us to breathe slow, and that gives us the opportunity to breathe low into the belly. So just marking this first spot as a waypoint that you can return to. And this spot is really the notion of sitting and knowing that you're sitting. Sort of a simple, very economic as far as the attention goes. Sort of stance. So just sitting and knowing that you're sitting, starting from this spot. And I'll offer a little bit of guidance, and if it's not landing for you, you can always come back to this spot. So this is a complete practice all the way in and of itself. And then before we move and shift into the rest of the sit, just checking back in. Seeing what the weather in the body is at the moment. We have nowhere to go. We're able to operate from a totally unhurried perspective. And so the first thing to experiment with tonight in this sit is just noticing when you're sort of leaning forward, or noticing when you're chasing after the current experience. And as we begin to settle in, if we're feeling a little bit of a buzz or feeling speedy, there seems to be a little bit of telegraphing of a leaning toward the next breath or the next sound. And when you notice that, if you want, you can just drop in a little phrase. And if this lands for you, great. If it doesn't, you can use your own. But when you notice that, just seeing if can just say to yourself, ah, yes. So there's an acknowledgement and zero judgment. And then after that, see if you can kind of settle back into this neutral position. Just sitting and being aware that you're sitting. And if there's an impatience and a kind of desire to get somewhere, ah, yes. And then a settling back in. So explore that for a bit, and then I'll check back in and see how you're doing. And then just another thing to explore a bit. So maybe you don't feel like you're sort of leaning into or rushing towards the next experience. Maybe you feel like you're slightly behind. And so this can generate kind of that feeling again, like that sort of trying to catch up. And just see if that's the case. Try emphasizing the inhale for the next 5 breaths. And when we're looking to infuse a bit more energy in the sit, we can get a bit of that from just sort of emphasizing that inhale a bit. Again, knowing all along the practice is going to be here. It's not going to leave us behind. And then last thing to experiment a bit here with is if part of the reason you feel like you're kind of behind experience is maybe we just don't have an engaging home base for you. So consider using a home base for the next bit. And that could be the breath, and that could be the stable solidity of the body, just sitting here in the posture. Or it could be sounds around you. Maybe there's a tick of a clock. It's a regular sound to tune into, or a heating vent or refrigerator. Just experimenting using the stability of that home base. And so with the time we have left, we're going to switch into a friendliness practice. And so when we think about the Southern Ocean, we often think about the sort of the megafauna. We think about the humpback whales or blue whale or the right whale. And yeah, they're amazing, but the blue whale or the right whale, they all rely ultimately on sea ice. So think about the pyramid of all the things. So the sea ice is where plankton and zooplankton are able to grow, and those plankton feed krill, and the krill feed the whales. So for our practice pyramid, just thinking about offering gratitude for each of the steps up the chain that support us, the meditator. We're sort of the megafauna of practice. And so one level of that is community, groups like this. Within community, there's groups or pods. There's fellow practitioners who maybe inspire us. And there's friends or partners who balance tasks and chores and maybe childcare so that you have time to meditate. And sort of at the beginning of it all, there's the sort of 4 skills: concentration, sensory clarity, equanimity, and care. And just seeing if you can bring to mind some of the parts of that pyramid. And just seeing how much warmth and appreciation you can offer, or generate, I should say. And as you generate that, just kind of making that back as an offering. And just seeing if any of the small contributors come to mind. And sort of the plankton, the krill, the whale. And maybe there's the podcast, the practice, the time that you have available. And then just bringing to mind that we have this great community, 100 or 200 people on a Sunday night, and maybe 20,000 folks that are subscribed to Jeff and the Do Nothing Project channel. But we're just one of the communities within a wider community, and a bigger, larger, overall wisdom tradition. And just seeing if you feel a little bit of connection to all that. And offering up a kind of knowing nod or a thank you or a little dat doing. To all the folks, to all the contributors to making practice available. Don't normally ring it twice, but that first one didn't quite quite get it. So, Jill, thank you for that. Ecosystem. That was the word I was trying so hard to come up with in my brain as I was leading that. Thank you for that. So, yes, and I love the idea of being the megafauna of meditation. So, yes, so dat doing and super thank you to everybody. I'm doing double duty, like I said, so I'm gonna drop in a few. I've got so we got a little bit of news in the overall community, and I want to kind of try to get that into here, get this into chat. So and then I will come back here really quick and try to review posts. But so Jeff has launched Substack, as I mentioned at the beginning, homebasewithjeff.com. That's where you can find it. Super cool offering. The first column, Hey Jeff, where Jeff comes up with a tailored meditation to someone who's written in. That came out, I think, this week. Now, the other notion is the Consciousness Explorers podcast is renamed and started its second season. That's the Mind Bod Adventure Pod. I think Nadia Bowles-Weber is the first guest. That came out on the 30th. So, big. That's the big news. So, congratulations to Jeff and Tasha for that. And then it's a new month, which means a new theme for the CEC. The CEC this month is practicing peace, and seeing the practice, how to practice peace piece that came out in the newsletter. That was part of the little seed that dropped in for my inspiration around practice. So that's that, and then I'm going to give you a few things. So, like I said, Brooke Thomas, who was kindly enough to fill in for me twice while I was out, because I was out for 4 Wednesdays. And then my bud, Ralph Andradez, also filled in. What did they fill in for? That's Wednesday meditation that I've been leading. And it's been really nice to get a consistent amount of folks in for that. And I really appreciate everybody that you can find that there, and that's the link. And then we're almost done here. I want to plug a community jam here. So I mentioned Ralph Andradez. Ralph and Kevin Lacroix, who's part of the teaching faculty at CEC, they have a half-day retreat that is coming up on March 2nd. And that is Saturday, March 2nd. I'm going to post a link, and that'll have the time. I just know for me in Mountain Time, I think starts at 11 a.m. But that's there, and you can check that out. And then I think the last thing I have, and I'm missing so many things. Okay. And then the last one is, if you want to reach out, the best way to reach out to me is Instagram. And then we lost about 20 people. Oops. Yes. So thank you. So Ruth, I just mentioned that, and that is that Eventbrite, and that's Do Nothing Variations. So if folks don't know, so Ralph filled in for me. One of the reasons I wanted to try to get Ralph to fill in for me is that, like all of us, Ralph is quite enamored with the Do Nothing practice. If folks don't know, the Do Nothing is the name of a technique that Shinzen Young has within his overall mind training system. And Ralph is one of the teacher trainers, I believe now, in the Unified Mindfulness system. And then also Kevin, who has gone through the Unified Mindfulness program as well, is quite fond of Do Nothing as well. So Kevin and Ralph together is a great combination. So I want to make sure folks know about that. And you'll find more information there. And then Rod, you had a question. I think it was the 4 skills. So the 3 skills for unified mindfulness are concentration or concentration power, sensory clarity, or sometimes it's just said as clarity, and equanimity. So in we talk about C, C, and E. The third C that Jeff uses is care, and that's the 4. That's in a post that Jeff had called A Common Language, and that's posted on as an article on jeffwarren.org. And if I had a keyboard, I would type that up really quick and try to link that. But hopefully, Rod, you got that. And okay, it looks like Brooke. Excellent, thank you, Brooke. Looks like Brooke answered that. Let's see, Substack, so a pile of submergibles. No, not quite that. Substack is a publishing platform. It's a little bit along the lines of a bit like Patreon, and it's something that folks are seeing a lot of. You're seeing a lot of folks that have newsletters and other things, and overall writing backgrounds are using. So that's hopefully a little bit of that. Okay. So Fred also looks like, I'm going to try to see if I can find Rod's comment. Yes. Okay. So concentration, clarity, equanimity, and care. And I'm really glad to hear that was restful. Thank you very much, Brooke. And a huge welcome, Paul. And also, Paul, I love that Paul and Ruthless, you're always helping me to get the word out about Wednesdays. So yeah, I think I posted the time there. So it's Wednesdays. It's at 7:15. Some folks will ask, one of the questions I got while I was out is, why 15 minutes after the hour? And it's partly because it's at the end of my workday, and the 15 minutes means that I'm less likely to be late. But sometimes when I'm a little bit early, I'll start the feed like maybe 2 or 3 minutes early, just to kind of get a rolling start and chat with folks. And thank you so much for the likes. I see there's 27 likes. That's super awesome. So I think that's everything. And if you haven't had a chance, the Explorers FM will actually redirect to the new website for the MindBod Adventure Pod. So that new website is actually redirecting. So if you have that bookmarked, you're going to find it. Really excited for the second season. Again, Aaron is your guest tomorrow, or is your host tomorrow night on Monday night. And then on Wednesday, and then we'll be back on Sunday to do this all over again. And it'll be Super Sunday for North America, I guess. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. And I know I missed a ton of things. If you had a burning question or any comment, best way to probably get that question to me would be to go to Lenards.coaching on Instagram. And if I can, I will try to look at chat after this, just to see if there's anything that I'd missed. Oh, Lynn asked, could it be something? Could it be something with your iPad? Strange that the sound was perfect. It probably is something to do with my iPad. So folks that are sitting on Wednesdays, I've been having issues with my live feed, and part of it is I can't use iPads. I can't use mobile devices because I don't have enough subscribers. That's a YouTube rule. And so I've got this mic, which is a little bit better mic than I normally use. And then I think I've got a little bit better internet connection right now. Fingers crossed. So yeah. And I will attempt at some point to try to explain. Someone had asked last time why Antarctica, and part of it was the seven continents thing, but then the other was the more that we learned about Antarctica, the more we wanted to go, and the more it felt like there was this draw or a magnetic kind of feel. And then after we started down that path, we realized it's the same kind of thing that the early explorers got obsessed with Antarctica and really couldn't explain it to other people. So I felt in good company to some degree. Not that I'm comparing myself with Amundsen and Shackleton in any way, but yeah. So that's been helpful for me in realizing, oh yes, the leopard seals. We saw leopard seals, Paul, and they are imposing. The leopard seals, for those that don't know, are sort of one of the apex predators next to orcas in the area. And the leopard seals, I'm glad you pointed that out, because I read Endurance. I think if Bill is still here, I read Endurance. It's fantastic. I felt like Endurance was sort of important for us. The tour we were on was called Spirit of Shackleton, so a lot of the places we went were related to the Shackleton adventure. But yeah, leopard seals are really imposing, and they've got just gigantic heads, and yeah. But the book, Alfred Lansing book, Endurance, is actually a really fantastic book. Yeah. So at some point I'll have a bunch of pictures posted on on Instagram, which I have not done yet. Priority was shaving my beard and settling back in and kind of being able to be an active participant in my sort of communities and family lives that I sort of checked out for 4 weeks. And then next week tomorrow I get to go back to my job, my work, which I've not been at for 4 weeks almost. So yeah, it's so at some point I'll try to have a better cogent explanation, but part of it was just that aspect, and yeah, and I survived the polar plunge, and so that was cool too. So yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for everyone you're always showing up and being really active participants. You are part of our practice pyramid, and thank you for being magnificent megafauna in the meditation world here. Signing off.